45 people board the plane, 12 die in the crash. 5 freeze in the first night. 8 buried alive in an avalanche. 72 days at 12,000 feet. No food, search called off. The bodies are frozen outside. Someone says what no one wants to hear. 16 survive. This is the price they paid. This is Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, October 13, 1972. A chartered Fairchild FH-227D carrying 45 people, 19 members of an amateur rugby team, the Old Christians Club from Montevideo, Uruguay, their families, friends, 5 crew. They're flying from Montevideo to Santiago, Chile for a match. The plane crashes in the Andes Mountains on a glacier at 11,800 feet. The fuselage slams into a mountain at over 200 miles per hour. 12 people die instantly. 5 more die in the hours that follow. Of the 28 who survived the first night, only 16 will walk out alive. 72 days later, after an avalanche, after starvation, after making a choice no one should have to make. The morning of October 12, everything seems routine. The rugby players board the plane at Carrasco International Airport in Montevideo. Young men, mostly in their 20s, laughing, joking. They're excited. This is an adventure. A rugby tournament in Chile. Some have brought their mothers, their siblings. 40-year-old Eugenia Parado is traveling with her son Fernando, called Nando, and her daughter Susana. The pilots are experienced. Colonel Julio Cesar Ferradas and Lieutenant Colonel Dante Laguerrara. The weather is clear. The Fairchild lifts off, heads west toward the Andes. The first leg to Mendoza, Argentina, is smooth. They land in Mendoza, refuel. Weather reports come in. There's bad weather over the Andes, turbulence, clouds. The pilots decide to wait overnight. The passengers check into a hotel. They'll cross the mountains tomorrow. October 13 dawns cold but clear enough. The Fairchild takes off from Mendoza at 2:18 p.m. 50 minutes to Santiago. The passengers settle in. Some play cards. Some sleep. The pilots fly into the weather. About 20 minutes into the flight, turbulence hits. The plane shakes. Passengers grab their armrests. It's rough but not unusual. The Fairchild is flying at 18,000 feet, not high enough to clear the tallest peaks. The pilots are using a navigation system called dead reckoning. They calculate position based on time and speed. But there's a problem: strong headwinds. The plane is flying slower than they think. The co-pilot, Laguerrara, is at the controls. He checks his watch. They should be past the peaks now, over the Chilean side of the Andes. He tells the controller they're over Curicó, Chile. The controller clears them to descend. Laguerrara begins the descent. They're not over Curicó. They're still deep in the Andes, still surrounded by peaks over 15,000 feet. The mistake is about to cost them everything. The turbulence gets worse. The plane drops, rises. Passengers are gripping seats. Some are praying. Nando Parado looks out the window. He sees something that doesn't make sense. A mountain. Close. Too close. The wingtip is almost touching it. He opens his mouth to say something. Then the world explodes. The right wing hits a peak, tears off. The plane spins. The left wing rips away. The tail section breaks off. 8 passengers still strapped in, tumbling through the air. The fuselage, now just a metal tube, plummets down the mountain. It hits snow, starts sliding. Toboggan style, 300 yards, 400. Seats tear loose. People slam into walls, into each other. The fuselage finally stops, wedged into the snow at an angle, silence. Then screaming. 12 people are dead. The cockpit is crushed. Both pilots are killed on impact. The tail section passengers are gone, lost somewhere up the mountain. Inside the fuselage, survivors are pulling themselves up. Blood everywhere. Broken bones. Nando Parado is unconscious, a fractured skull. His sister Susana is badly hurt, bleeding. Their mother Eugenia is dead. Roberto Canessa, a 19-year-old medical student, starts assessing injuries. Gustavo Zerbino, another medical student. They're doing triage. Who can be saved? Who can't? Marcelo Perez, the rugby team captain, takes charge. They need to organize, stay calm. They're in shock, freezing, but they're alive. 28 of them. The temperature is below zero. They're at nearly 12,000 feet. No oxygen, thin air. The fuselage is split open, snow blowing in. They use seats and luggage to block the openings. It's not much, but it's something. The first night is agony. 5 more people die. Internal injuries, shock, cold. Nando Parado wakes up on day 3 confused, asking for his mother and sister. Gustavo Zerbino has to tell him. Susana is alive, but barely. Their mother is buried in the snow outside. Nando's reaction is quiet devastation. But he's alive, that has to mean something. The survivors search the wreckage for supplies. They find chocolate, wine, some snacks. It's not much, a few bites each. They ration everything. They melt snow for water in aluminum panels from the plane. The days are cold but bearable. The nights are brutal, 40 degrees below zero. They huddle together for warmth. 8 people, 10 people packed like sardines in the fuselage, breath freezing on their faces, fingers and toes going numb. On day 8 they hear the sound of a plane. Search planes. They scramble outside, waving, screaming. The plane flies over, doesn't see them. The fuselage is white, the snow is white. From the air it's invisible. The planes come back. Day 9, day 10, but they never spot the crash site. On day 11 someone finds a small transistor radio. Roy Harley gets it working. They huddle around it, listening for news. On day 11 they hear the announcement. The search has been called off. The authorities believe no one could survive this long in the mountains. The survivors sit in silence. They're on their own, nobody's coming. The food runs out on day 10. They've eaten everything. Chocolate wrappers have been licked clean. Wine bottles drained. There's nothing left. Starvation sets in. The body starts consuming itself. Muscle, tissue. People get weaker, colder. They sleep more, talk less. Someone suggests they have to eat the bodies. The dead passengers frozen in the snow, it's said quietly. No one wants to say it out loud, but it's there. Hovering, Roberto Canessa speaks. He's a medical student. He talks about protein. Survival, the body as biological material. It's logical, clinical, but it's not logical. It's impossible. They're Catholic, most of them. Eating the dead is a sin, but so is suicide. And starving to death is suicide if there's another option. Marcelo Perez, the captain, struggles. He's a leader, but he can't make this call. Each person has to decide. Fido Strauch says they should think of it as communion. The bodies are giving them life, a way to survive. Nando Parado says simply, if I die, you can eat me. I want you to. They make the decision. One by one, they'll do it. They go outside. The bodies are frozen solid. They use glass shards from the windows to cut small pieces, just enough. Roberto Canessa is the first to try. He says later that it tasted like nothing, like metal, like survival. The others follow. Some can't. Some refuse at first, but hunger is relentless. Over the days, they all eat. It becomes routine, mechanical. They don't talk about it, they just do it. They're sustaining themselves on the flesh of their friends, their teammates, their families. The psychological weight is crushing, but the alternative is death. On day 17, October 29, disaster strikes again. An avalanche. It hits at night. A wall of snow crashes through the fuselage. People are buried, screaming, suffocating. Survivors dig frantically. Hands tearing through snow. They pull out some. Others are already dead. 8 people die in the avalanche, including Marcelo Perez. Nando's sister Susana, who'd been clinging to life for 17 days, dies the next morning. The group is now 19. The avalanche changes everything. They realize waiting is death. The mountains will kill them one way or another. They need to get out. But how? They're surrounded by peaks. No equipment, no maps, no idea where they are. Nando Parado starts talking about walking out. He's convinced they have to try. They spend weeks preparing, gathering strength, making equipment. They take seat covers and stitch them into a sleeping bag. They use metal from the plane to make crude snowshoes. 3 people will go. Nando Parado, Roberto Canessa, Antonio Tintin Vicentin. On December 12, day 61, they set out. They're heading west toward Chile, climbing toward a peak they think will show them a way out. The climb takes 3 days. The altitude is brutal. Every step is agony. They reach the summit. And what they see breaks them. More mountains, peak after peak stretching to the horizon. They thought Chile was close. It's not. It's at least 50 miles, maybe more. Tintin goes back to conserve supplies. Nando and Roberto keep going. For 10 days they walk, through snow, over glaciers, down into valleys. They have no real gear, just the seat cover sleeping bag, a little bit of meat wrapped in socks. They're starving. Freezing, Roberto wants to stop, to give up. Nando keeps pushing. On December 20, day 69, they see it. Green, vegetation, trees. They're descending into a valley, and then they see a man on horseback. A Chilean muleteer named Sergio Catalan. He's on the other side of a river, too loud to talk. He throws them bread, rides for help. Nando and Roberto collapse. They're saved. 2 days later, on December 22, helicopters arrive at the crash site. The 14 remaining survivors are extracted, emaciated, frostbitten, but alive. The world is stunned. Then horrified when they learn the truth. Cannibalism, the survivors explain. They had no choice. It was survival. The families of the dead eventually understand. They give their blessings. The survivors return to Uruguay as heroes and as damaged men. Of the 45 people on the plane, 29 died, 12 in the crash, 5 in the first days, 8 in the avalanche, 3 more over the weeks, 1 from injuries just before the rescue. 16 survived. The investigation concluded pilot error. The co-pilot misjudged their position, descended too early, flew into a mountain ridge. A simple mistake with catastrophic consequences. The Andes took the wreckage. The plane was never recovered. It remains there, buried in snow and ice. The survivors carried the weight forever. Some spoke publicly. Roberto Canessa became a pediatric cardiologist, saving children's lives. Nando Parado built a life, got married, had children. Others stayed quiet, haunted. 2 have since died. 14 are still alive. They meet every year, on October 13, to remember, to honor the dead, to remind themselves they survived. The Andes crash isn't a story of triumph. It's a story of impossible choices, of what humans will do to live, of the line between survival and something else, something darker, something necessary. Those 72 days redefined the survivors, made them question faith, morality, humanity. They walked out of the Andes, but part of them never left.